All right, let's jump right in. Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're digging into a landmark legal case, but I promise you this is definitely not your standard courtroom drama. We are unpacking a case that quite literally changed the very fabric of the afterlife's bureaucracy. We're looking at the fascinating, honestly hilarious events documented in Rufus Pale's story, The Complaints Department of the Afterlife. It's a spectacular deep dive into cosmic middle management, and I'm warning you right now, it is going to fundamentally change how you view your own bad luck. So think about this for a second. Here's the central premise we're exploring today. What if you could actually sue the universe for bad timing? I mean, imagine dying, showing up in purgatory, and finding out that the most frustrating, ironic, or tragic moments of your entire life weren't random at all. What if they were scheduled? This narrative frames this epic battle between human free will and divine middle management. And as you'll see, the ultimate question we have to answer is whether we actually have a right to our own mistakes. To unpack all this, we're going to review the official cosmic case file docket. We'll start with the Afterlife Complaints Department, dive into two wild case studies, cold coffee and ironic piano, explore the whole process of suing cosmic middle management, head up to the trial on Flora Infinity, and finally look at the brand new Ethics Oversight Committee. Okay, let's set the scene with Section 1, the Afterlife Complaints Department, specifically down in Sub-Basement 4. This is where our story kicks off, with a burned-out intake specialist named Arthur. So Arthur is a bureaucrat, right? And he has spent the last 600 years doing nothing but denying grievances. And the working conditions down there are, well, they're literally soul-crushing. You've got an infinite intake queue of souls who are furious about their narrative arcs. The complaint processing time is 400 to 600 years. The furniture, it has achieved spite-based sentience for the sole purpose of being uncomfortable. The break room coffee somehow exists in a state of thermal superposition, so it's scalding hot and freezing cold at the exact same time. Oh, and the fluorescent lights literally hum with a Morse code message telling people to just go home. It is peak bureaucratic nightmare, completely designed to make souls just give up and accept the absolute absurdity of existence. But you know, some souls just refuse to give up. Which brings us to Section 2, Case Study, Cold Coffee. Let's talk about Gary Henderson. Gary has been dead for 36 years, and he has spent every single one of those years compiling this massive, crazy conspiracy board all about a lukewarm beverage. Picture this. October 13th, 1987. Gary was served coffee at 167 degrees, which was exactly 13 degrees cooler than normal. Because it was cooler, he drank it faster. Because he drank it faster, he left the diner 4 minutes early, caught an earlier bus, and bumped into a woman named Sharon. Sharon gives him a stockbroker's card, but Gary gets a weird gut feeling and decides not to invest. The stock? Enron. By avoiding Enron, Gary avoided financial ruin, meaning he never became desperate enough to take big risks, and he ended up living a completely safe, super boring, unfulfilled middle management life. And Gary firmly believes this whole chain of events was a deliberate cosmic intervention. And the crazy part? He's absolutely right. This is where the Department of Destiny reveals their terrifying justification. See, if Gary had received hot coffee, we get timeline 447B. In that timeline, Gary burns his tongue, sues the diner, uses the settlement money to go to school, enters politics, and eventually becomes President of the United States in 2024, where he accidentally presses the wrong button and ends human civilization in a nuclear war. So, upper management deliberately sabotaged Gary's breakfast to keep him stuck in middle management and save the world from an apocalypse. Talk about a butterfly effect, right? Now, while Gary's life was manipulated to save the world, our next plaintiff got hit with the sheer narrative cruelty of the universe. Welcome to Section 3, Case Study, Ironic Piano, featuring Chloe Martinez. 3. That is the exact number of seconds our second plaintiff, Chloe, got to enjoy the meaning of life. After spending 34 years searching for purpose, reading philosophy, doing ayahuasca, meditating for hours on end, Chloe finally had a genuine epiphany. She uncovered the true meaning of life. And exactly 3 seconds later, bam, a grand piano falls from a construction site and crushes her. When Chloe files her grievance, management's rep, Fielding, makes this completely shocking admission. The timing wasn't an accident. The Department of Cosmic Irony actually has administrative quotas to meet for ironic deaths. As Fielding puts it, dropping a piano on someone right as they figure out the meaning of life is just narratively efficient. Obviously, Chloe is absolutely livid that her entire existence was reduced to a thematic punchline just to meet some arbitrary cosmic quota. So Chloe and Gary realize they're not alone in their frustration. which leads us to Section 4, suing cosmic middle management. They end up teaming up with Arthur to escalate these grievances into a full-blown class action lawsuit. They start raiding the complaint archives, and the evidence they uncover is wild. Upper management has always treated mass suffering as acceptable collateral damage for narrative progression. The asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs? Ordered because dinosaurs were deemed narratively stagnant. The Black Death? A required intervention to reduce population pressure and kickstart the Renaissance. The Titanic? Apparently just an excellent source of hubris-related learning outcomes. Are you kidding me? Every time souls complained about these events, management just sent a generic form letter thanking them for their sacrifice to the narrative. But Chloe is a phenomenal researcher, and she spots this massive legal loophole. Revised Celestial Statute 8844.1. This statute states that any soul may petition for systemic review if they can demonstrate a pattern of cosmic malfeasance affecting multiple parties. So, by combining Gary's lack of informed consent with Chloe's ironic quota death and adding thousands of those historical precedents, they can legally force the universe to listen to their case. So they build an incredible class action coalition. You've got Chloe acting as lead counsel, Gary coordinating all his obsessive evidence, and Arthur serving as the presiding officer. But they also recruit 127 aggrieved souls straight from the waiting room, including a real estate agent who literally died choking on a pretzel during a YouTube video. And they even recruit the sentient infrastructure. The break room coffee and the conceptually unstable Elevator 7 actually join the lawsuit to protest their own uncompensated labor. It is this hilarious motley crew teaming up to take on the creators of reality itself. And that sets the perfect stage for our climax in Section 5, the trial on floor infinity, confronting gemmers. Against all odds, upper management actually accepts the hearing. So the group piles into Elevator 7 and rides up to the domain of the cosmos' architects. They arrive on floor infinity, which, by the way, isn't some grand heavenly paradise. No, it is a terrifying, infinite beige office space where upper management just lives in a state of permanent meeting. Here, they confront Gimmers, the ultimate middle manager. Gimmers isn't even a single being. They're this shifting entity of pure bureaucratic energy, and Gimmers shows them the staggering weight of the job, this infinite web of trillions of interconnected timelines, where one tiny little change can either save a puppy or cause a global apocalypse. Gimmers lays out the big dilemma here for the group and really for us. The choice is free will or cosmic stability. Is it better to transparently let humans make terrible choices, like Gary potentially ending the world? Or is it better to secretly control them, manipulate their coffee, and ensure cosmic stability, even if it costs them their free will and sanity? Gimmers argues that the cosmic bureaucracy isn't evil, they're just making the impossible choices required to keep reality from completely collapsing into chaos. But Chloe hits back with this absolute mic drop argument. She yells, maybe a little chaos is better than tyranny. Maybe letting people fail is better than forcing them to succeed according to your metrics. She points out that even if Gary was dangerous, he deserved the right to know. The universe shouldn't just gaslight people for their entire lives just to maintain order. Individual autonomy is actually worth the risk of a messy, unstable reality. Which brings us to our astonishing resolution in Section 6, the Ethics Oversight Committee, establishing a new cosmic democracy. Because for the first time in millennia, management actually listens. Gimmers essentially admits, yeah, we don't have all the answers. The system prevents apocalypse, sure, but it creates enormous suffering. So they agree to a massive compromise. They draft the Cosmic Reform Initiative. Step 1. Implement an opt-in system so people get notified about timeline interventions. Step 2. Establish an Ethics Oversight Committee made up of actual human souls to review management's actions. Step 3. Finally grant rights and compensation to the sentient coffee and elevators. And Step 4. Abolish those completely arbitrary quotas in the Department of Irony. Arthur literally transitions from an apathetic intake worker to the head of a brand new cosmic democracy. And we get to see this new system in action immediately. Instead of just rubber stamping the universe's cruelty, Arthur actually gets to review the cases. He opens a file for a woman who is scheduled to get a flat tire. Management wants to give her the flat to prevent her from running into her ex-boyfriend and spiraling into a depression. In the old days, this would just happen, and she thinks she had terrible luck. Now, Arthur and the Ethics Committee actually stop and question it. They get to ask, is it right to manipulate her day, or should she have the autonomy to just face her ex and deal with those emotions herself? It's a completely new era for the afterlife. They traded the cold efficiency of a dictatorship for the messy, annoying, but incredibly beautiful reality of democracy. Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. If you were about to be born, and the universe handed you a form to check, would you opt in? Would you actually want to know when the universe is pulling your strings, or would you prefer the comfort of just thinking your flat tires and cold coffees were plain old bad luck? Definitely something to chew on the next time your morning coffee order comes out wrong. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you a whole new perspective on your own narrative arc.